Okay, good morning, everybody. Seeing as it's 8:32, let's get started. Welcome to the Business Leaders Roundtable. Treat today as if you're a live room, so if at all possible, please keep your camera on. I know, Juliet, you've just had some surgery, laser, so you don't want to, that's fine. If you're not speaking, can you please just mute yourself to avoid background noise, and we'll move through quickly and get through by 10 o'clock. Use this forum as a networking opportunity, as always. We've always had some cross referrals happening in the group, and put your name, contact details, and what you do into the chat, which you can then save and I'll send out afterwards anyway. So let's start with some introductions. I'm just going to go on my screen as long as it doesn't move. Kyle, start with you. Name, rank, serial number.
Oh, good. Kyle Page, CEO of Ericom. We're a UC and ITMS provider in the east coast of Australia.
And why are you here, pal?
Oh, mate, I'm going to learn something today.
Ah, good. Nobby, how about you?
I think Kyle's here to ruffle some feathers.
Yes, that happens. He always adds a lot of value, Kyle.
Love it. So I'm Nobby Kleiman. I'm in Melbourne, CEO of Money Rules. I show people how to manage their money, eliminate their debt in less time, and create their future wealth just on their current income.
Excellent. Lauren.
Hi, sorry, I thought we were in a different order. I'm Lauren Jones. I have a Improved Consulting, work with small, medium and large enterprises in a number of areas: quality, safety, environmental systems, risk management, and strategic planning. And I've got a few training courses I'm running presently in those sort of spaces.
Excellent. Ollie, good to see you. I don't think we've actually met.
Hi, Rashid. Yeah, first time. So hi, everyone. Nice meeting you. I'm Ali. I am AI expert. I've been about 20 years in the area of AI machine learning, about 10 years of that in Japan, 10 years, then 12 years here in Australia. I have been with a couple of different organizations, CVA, Unisys, until December with KPMG. Currently, I am separated from KPMG as their head of data science and AI, looking into a couple of conversations to some startups and potentially other opportunities. I'm a member of also Standards Australia AI Committee. Nice meeting you.
Excellent. Welcome. Michael.
Morning, everyone. Michael Sakalis, Synergistics Australia, Managing Director. At Synergistics Australia, we help our clients who are in asset intensive or the industrial sector, asset intensive industries. We help them improve their operations through aligning people, processes, and technology.
Excellent. Peter, good to see you, mate.
Yeah, hi, Peter from GradSift, and GradSift is software for large employers who recruit university graduates, and it uses AI to help screen and shortlist candidates within seconds.
Excellent. Alex, good morning.
Morning. I'm Alex Harding. I'm Managing Director of Dataphoria. Dataphoria is an organisation that helps our clients to source marketing data or segment their data with additional data points or generate lots and lots of leads, so digital or phone leads or whatever it needs to be. And yeah, so we're data-driven marketing. I'm here because I thought I might learn something as well. It's always nice to hear what everyone else is up to and to find out, I guess, what everyone thinks about what's going on in the market.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex. Les, good morning.
Morning, everyone. Les, CEO and founder of Clavero. We are a business management platform. We help businesses basically with their foundation of standardizing and optimizing and automating all of their data and processes in one system. So get rid of all your spaghetti integrations with different platforms, bring it into one platform and have full visibility and metrics. And nice to meet everyone. I'm really glad to come here. I'm really just looking to learn off the expertise and experience of everybody in the room. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Frank.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Frank Apolari, Managing Director of Phase Pacific. We help customers build robust, secure software applications by providing them tools that analyzes and scans software before it's thrown in production, and then protects it once it's in production. And the other side of our business really focuses around networking and automation.
Thank you. Baz, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bas. I'm from All Star Solutions. So we're a white label, effectively a white label IT professional services company and support. So we work with larger organizations that have IT solutions, and we generally deliver it for them, assist and solution it, and support their break fix requirements across Australia and New Zealand and some rest of the world. Yeah, I'm here because, just good to sit down with and like-minded people and, get some ideas, share some ideas and learn.
Excellent. Anoop, good morning.
Good morning, Rashid. Good morning, everybody. My name is Anoop. I'm the founder of Skill. We are a neuroscience-based behavioral analytics and micro-coaching platform. We help individuals at work understand what's limiting their capability to deliver as part of their role and provide micro nudges to level up their performance.
Great, good to see you. And Juliet, last but not least. Juliet, can you hear us?
Good morning, everybody. Apologies for the flowers. I just have a burn surgery. Okay, I've been in the mortgage business for many years and led me to property development. I'm now very, very pleased and happy with my properties development and management. It has though reached the peak of its potentials, the earning potentials and things like that. I'm here, Rashid, I followed you, but this is my first time to join this mastermind. I thought perhaps I can learn. Unlike most of you, you have worked as managers and CEOs. I'm into, again, money making. And the purpose of being here is to build a second income, and very poor in marketing, very poor in online. So I need support. Thanks.
Okay, excellent. Welcome, Juliet. And Samantha, you just joined us. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm sorry I'm running a little later than planned. My name is Samantha Young-Fielding. My business, not my building, my business is Happinessence. I work in the field of behavior. So I work with individuals, but also around people transacting relationships and with culture in businesses. What else was I supposed to be saying, Rashid? Is there anything I need to add?
Why you're here?
Okay, why I'm here, because it's the first meeting of the year and I love your roundtable. So I'm delighted to be able to participate.
Thank you. And we love having you.
Thank you.
Barbara, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I guess in the meantime, pretty much everybody knows me.
No, they don't. So okay. just something. Okay. So I was talking to Lisa Sheldon, who normally is here, but she couldn't be here today. And she said, we need more women in the group. And Barbara needs to speak more.
Yes, Lisa. Okay, my name is Barbara Sorta. I'm part 1, 2, 3 of Revealed Resources. We've been doing this for almost 23 years. Yeah, I'm not supposed to say I'm doing things in the background, am I? Or
no, you're not supposed to say that. Well,
right.
So one of my close friends way back. His mother said, the husband thinks he's the head of the family and the wife is the head that turns him. And I think that's pretty apt in our case as well. Anyway, my name is Rashid. For those of you who don't know me, I think you all do know me, but we are effectively business mentors and strategists. I work primarily with leaders of technology companies to help them run a better business and therefore have a better life. My sweet spot is working with business owners ranging from about 5 to 100 people who want to move from working in the business to basically on and then beyond the business, so the business could effectively run without them, because that gives you a number of choices. You could keep working, doing stuff you love. You could have the business run entirely without you being a cash cow, as it's cash cow, or you could sell the business unencumbered. So you have those sorts of choices. And as we run this mastermind once a week, and it's going to be on the third Thursday of the month. Obviously, we'd love to grow the group. So if you have other people in your network that you feel would be a good fit, would love introductions, obviously. Anyway, all right. So main topic for tonight is moving from working for your business to in your business to on your business and then beyond your business. And for those of you who haven't seen this particular model that we use, let me just explain it in a couple of sentences so that we're all on the same page, and then we'll just open it up as to a further discussion. So when you're working for your business, those of us who just, when you started a business, you're basically it, and you're doing everything under the sun, from sales to marketing to delivery to finance to admin. And the major danger point over here, of course, is getting caught up in delivery and neglecting sales, because that often leads to a very irregular income, because you sell something and then you get caught up in the delivery, and then that delivery ends and then you've got to start again. And there's always a lag between when you first start selling to when you actually get the money. And then once you start getting a little bit busier, you're still responsible for sales and most delivery, but you've got stability of income, and your main goal here is to structure the business to bring people in to support the different functions, and that buys you time. Now, the danger points here are still outsourcing sales and finance, because you can't. A mistake we see very often is people put salespeople on, and I'm sure Carl will have something to say about that later, putting salespeople on before you actually understand what it is you are selling and how good at it yourself. And you have to have a fair bit of money behind you to be able to support a salesperson. And finance is the other one, because believe it or not, I have seen a number of instances of people in our network who didn't keep an eye on the money and were basically defrauded by an employee. Might have been a bookkeeper, it might have been a personal assistant, and I'm talking to the tune of over $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 without even noticing. And I'm going, how the hell could you not notice that? But that's another story. And then, of course, you want to look at working on the business, which is where you take time out to strategize and plan the future, but you've got to have the structure to do that. And that's when you need a solid leadership structure in place, which runs the day-to-day operation, freeing up your time to strategize, plan for the future, and look at how you might eventually exit the business should you wish to. And the danger here, though, is delegating and abrogating responsibilities. You need to delegate, but you can't abrogate. That means you still have to keep an eye on things. And then the final stage is working beyond the business, where the business is effectively a vehicle that provides you financial and emotional well-being, and it can run independently of you. So as I said, you've got one of three choices. You can stay working in the business, doing what you love, so doing the parts you really like doing. You can have it run as a completely independent cash cow, where you just get a report every month or whatever it is, and you could sell it for a good price. Now, I would always suggest that no matter what phase of the business you're in, you want to move it to where you could effectively be beyond the business, because life is unpredictable. You don't know if you're going to get sick and you can't run the business anymore. You don't know if a partner or you, I've seen instances where the main person running the business has died. That means the spouse or whoever it is then has to rapidly sell the business while it's still in some form of shape that it can still be run. So it's really prudent to get the business into a place where it will run without you on a day-to-day basis. Now, the primary activity over all of these stages, though, and that's the topic for today, is client acquisition. Having a system that can predictably bring in profitable clients, which ultimately increases the value of the business, because the business is valued on a couple of things. If you've got an innovation business, people are going to buy the IP. But if you've got a running business which produces some sort of service or some sort of delivery, people are actually going to buy the system of delivery, but they're also going to buy the fact that you can bring clients in regularly without having to be there yourself. That's what somebody is buying. So let me ask this question to the group. How many people here actually love sales? Just put up your hand if you actually love sales. Okay, not everybody. All right. So who actively doesn't like sales? Just on the other extreme. And who's sort of ambivalent? Okay, a few people ambivalent. Okay. So what gives you energy? And I'm really interested in this topic over here. So what gives you energy or takes it away? And how can you turn wanting to sell more into giving you more energy? Because let's ask a slightly different question. What are the emotional drivers? Why did you get into business in the first place? And what is your business calling? So Peter, I'm going to pick on you. Can I pick on you?
Sure. So just a bit of background again on my business being software as a service, and our clients are typically large organizations from government to corporates, and the people we deal with are primarily people in HR. So where I get energy from is actually speaking to prospective clients. So the piece of the prospecting and acquiring the lead doesn't excite me that much. I do it, but when I get in front of a person and I'm able to talk to them, hear what their issues are, identify some problems and talk about what GradSift can do, that's fantastic. So that gives me energy when I see the reaction on their face of how much positive impact our product would make. So that I'd say that's a good example of giving energy. Yeah.
Okay. Someone else?
I'll have a go. I'll get in early. Then I'll sit back and relax. I find when I feel confident that I can help the client and that when I'm actually talking with clients and where I'm confident and not comfortable, but so I don't like calling people, if I don't know what they need, because I do a number of things. But if I know this is what they're interested in and I can help them and then the conversation flows and yeah, they're really interested in doing this, and well, I can help you do this. That's where I get energy. So it's sort of that latter stage of probably the sales process. I find that exciting and thrilling because I like to be that one of my values is helping people, and that's what I do in the business. But I struggle perhaps with the earlier stage of sort of getting them narrowing it down to what people need.
That's interesting, isn't it? So that's two of you, and that same sort of it's that beginning phase that's the issue. Okay, someone else?
We better bring some perspective from an old-fashioned sales guy.
Go on, Carl.
All right. So I'll share a couple of things with you. Salespeople. I'm one of them. I'm old-fashioned, even though I'm CEO, I'm still a sales guy. And one of the reasons that I entered into sales was that I had complete control over who I talked to, when I talked to them, and that then determined how much money I earned as a salesperson. It was the old donkey and carrot type reward system that most organisations have in place. But then when I first started, I went and knocked on some doors, and just like some of you were there, I got rejected. People said no. Right at the start. And I actually believed that, there I go back, that the technology I had, the information, would actually help improve the customer, do the thing better. And they just rejected me. And I used to call them, you're going to laugh at this, trying to get past that bitch on the switch who said no to me all the time. How do I get past the receptionist? Right? And I'd walk in there, and their job, they were taught how to stop salespeople getting in to see the CEO or the major solicitor or the accounting firm, etc. So once you learn your art form of how to deal with rejection, and it's not easy, you then learn how to become motivated, because when I did get in front of a customer, just like Lauren and all you talked about, and they wanted to listen to my actual story, that I could either save them money, show more productivity, whatever it may be, make it happen faster, they'd engage and say, can I have a quote, please? And that was then the easy part of the sale, because we all are very comfortable in that phase of supplying information, discovering their needs and marrying that up then to what we call a statement of work. So then I go back to having control. And I know, even though I've now been doing it for 40 odd years, I have to meet 3 new people a week as CEO of this company as one of my KPIs to make sure I'm doing my job of introducing people into this company, not to necessarily sell to them, but to make it a bit easier for, I've got now 26 salespeople in my company. They have to meet and they get rejected 10 times a day. Now, eventually when you get rejected, what happens is, like everything, we're intelligent, we hate pain, we hate rejection, that if you're intelligent enough and you teach yourself, all of a sudden you go from making 10 phone calls and only getting 1 appointment, and eventually you get to a situation where you can make 5 phone calls and get 4 appointments. And if you get 4 appointments done a day, you're doing really well. All of a sudden, now those people that you meet versus somebody that comes off a web, somebody who's doing an inquiry where they've just rung 3 other people and you're number 4 on the list, I know which one I'd rather talk to. I'd rather talk to one I've created myself, and I've walked in the door, and I'm not 5th in line, somebody trying to do a price shop. So the value of salespeople is trying to find people, like we struggle, trying to find people who have the motivation to put themselves at risk and handle objections. And then once they get through the door, I've got what I call the white coats, the Laurens that can rock in and say, Lauren, help me out here. You're the subject matter expert. Can you please discover their needs and help me build a quote so I can go back and close the sale? All right. So the whole thing about salespeople, or even yourself, having a great idea. And I've seen so many people invent things, but they've never been able to realize how to get that to market because they don't fully understand the process of selling. You just can't put a signpost up. You actually need to, if you want to have control over where you're going, you've got to be able to knock on a door and say, hello, my name is Kyle Page. The reason I'm coming to see you today, Lauren, is that I need to show you 3 things that can improve your business. Can I please have 15 minutes of your time? And I'm ready for 3 objections. And you goes, no, I'm too busy. I said, Lauren, I know you're too busy. That's why I'm ringing you to make an appointment for next week. And believe me, you'll only give me 3 objections. And you'll say to me, what is it all about? Lauren, great question that you've asked me what it's all about. I need to have 15 minutes of your time, and I only want to take 2 minutes of your time today. Probably you can't see me next week. Can I put it off to next month? And because I have a diary that lets me plan 2, 3, 4, 5 years out in advance, I don't care when I get the appointment. All right? What I care is I get the appointment. So there's a bit of old-fashioned salesmanship. Nobby, you've done it 1,000 times, so I can tell. All right?
Okay, so here's the thing, all right? So we all hate rejection intrinsically, okay? So how do we, okay, so here's my thinking here. How do we relate the purpose that we have, that we wanted to get into this business in the first place? So, and because we want to do something, we want to do good generally. We want to do good for somebody. We want to do good for somebody, and we want to get paid for it really well. Okay, those 2 things have to be aligned. How do we transfer that sense of purpose into what we need to do in the first stages of prospecting, which that's what it is, so that we can actually get past that hurdle of supposed rejection, where we don't say they rejected me, they just happen to be rejecting the idea, or maybe they're just having a bad day. Anybody?
Yeah. So it's a funny thing. A friend of mine, Kieran McGuigan, runs a company called Strikeforce Sales. And I've talked to him about what makes a great salespeople over the years. I've been providing data for his sales team for the last 20 years. And he said that the best salesperson normally, especially for that first opening the sale, is a pessimist. And he said the reason is if you get the person that was school captain, that was head of the football team, that had all the girls at school, was really, really popular, and you put them on the sales call and tell them to go and make a lot of cold calls, and they get a lot of rejections in a row, they fall to pieces. They're not ready for it. Or if you put someone in there that maybe got bullied a bit at school, didn't always go great, was a bit of a pessimist, and then all of a sudden one of the first 100 calls goes well, and someone says yes, they get a boost in their confidence. They go, my God, I just booked a meeting for my client and they're going to see a CEO now. It's amazing. And I'm going to use that energy and I'm going to do the next bit. And it's interesting. So I look back at my career and I realized it's similar. I need my life. So I realized I had more girlfriends than my friends when I was at school. Wasn't better looking. I could tell a joke. I could do that. But I just didn't really count on the ones that said no. It didn't really worry me. And it's the same in sales. I just, a little bit like the pursuit of happiness. When I set up my business in the GFC 13.5 years ago, picked up the phone, didn't put it down between calls, just kept phoning the next business card and having a chat. The one thing, it's funny you talk about purpose, Rashid. The one thing I found that always made a tremendous difference was some training I had when I was at Dun & Bradstreet back in about 2004. They said, start every call with purpose, benefit, check. So you explain the purpose of my call is this, and then you make sure there's some tie-in to a probable benefit to them. You know, I thought, given you're doing X, we might be able to assist you because we've got this idea about how to solve that sort of challenge. And then check is, have you got time to have a quick chat now? And like Carl said, you know, if it isn't now, it is tomorrow. They say, I haven't got time now. Oh, no worries. How you suit it at 2 o'clock tomorrow and just do the next call. But it's funny. I'm probably a bit like Carl in that I like the first bit. I like getting someone to have a meeting. There's a client I was trying to get over the line for the last 5 years, and I recently got in touch with the right person, persisted and got that first meeting and showed the dream that we had for their organization, where it would take it. And it was all really exciting. And then her team is now dealing with my team, and I'm stepping away, and I'll just keep a bit of an eye on it. But I lose interest at that solution stage. My team are probably better than me at this stage at doing all of that. But yeah, I find the best bit just finding, you know, sort of the wheat from the chaff. And yeah, I guess I don't really count all the people that say no. I just count the people that say yes. So I think a lot of it's down to an attitude and a belief that you're genuinely actually going to assist the person when you're talking. So you sound surprised if they don't want to meet you.
Good point. Anyone else?
Okay, I'll jump in. So you talk about working on your business or in your business. That's one of the best books I've ever read. And I don't read a lot of books, but it had me going flat out. And I'm very much like Kyle. One of the toughest things I ever found was I'd had a lot of jobs in my life where I was self-employed as a roof plumber or something like that. But I joined the insurance industry in 1987. And it was the insurance industry. You were an insurance agent. There was no financial planning back then, no smart titles. So you could throw a blanket over anything, you know, call it whatever you like. But you go knocking on doors and tell them you're an insurance agent. And I even tried selling pots and pans from door to door when I was living in Sydney. And there's rejection for you. So the thing that you learn is you sit down, you make 40 phone calls a day. You go through the book, you make the 40 calls, and you just keep going till you get an appointment. So very much like Kyle. Why? Very much like Kyle again. You're in charge of your destiny and your future. And the reason you keep doing it is when you get that yes, and eventually you'll get a sale. And when you've made that sale, you'll realize that you can be the success that you started out to be. The sale, though, is the inspiration because you've been able to do something for someone. It's not so much for what you've achieved, although that's obviously the goal in earning an income, but you've just been able to help somebody get something that they need. So it's not always so much for you, but help somebody else. And so you just keep going. And yeah, eventually your 10 to 1s come 5 to 4s and everything like that. And the best part is you start getting referrals, because that's the easiest business to walk into. When somebody says, Nobby's been able to help me with that, you should be able to talk to him, or you're in the family or whatever. So nowadays, and I walked away from all of that because it just got stupid. But nowadays, I press a button for people. We go through the information, I press a button, and I just totally change their life from misery and despondency to there's light at the end of the tunnel. And if I follow what you've told me to do, I can see I'll get there in half the time and I'll have money for my retirement. My whole life's just changed. So you're actually helping people get something they want. And that's the driver for helping more people.
Well, it's the old Zig Ziglar saying, you know, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have whatever you want. And I think that comes, once again, that comes back to the purpose. So what is driving all of us to do what we do? Baz, how about you? What drives you, mate? You run a big business? Can't hear you, mate.
I better do a cold call on him so I can tell him how to use his headset.
The joys. Yeah, we'll get back to you. Michael, how about you? What drives you in Synergistics, mate?
So yeah, I've just been rebooting my computer, so I've just come back online. But I take it we're talking about yeah. Like you
Okay,
said.
so we're talking. I'll give you a bit of context. We're talking about sales and which what people actually enjoy or not enjoy, and most people, well, a lot of people don't like the prospecting side, the getting the lead, the starting the conversation. So I'm relating it back to what drives you in the business and the purpose, because that will feed into why you need to make those outreach calls, whatever it is.
Yeah, so for me, first and foremost, from a business perspective, it's all about solving problems and helping our clients achieve outcomes that they want to achieve. And, but we're talking about large organizations here, so there's no quick wins associated with what we do. There's no instant gratification. It's a year or two before we get outcomes for our clients and improve what they want to achieve. But the whole sense of understanding our clients' problems and being able to solve them drives me. But also on a more personal level, I never ever saw myself as a salesperson, and I think I'm migrating towards being better at it in terms of establishing relationships. I'm starting to really enjoy just interacting with people and establishing good long-term working relationships with clients, understanding what drives them, and once again trying to help them be successful. And like we're saying, if our clients are successful, then ultimately we all become successful as well. So yeah, so I think that's a fairly common theme, helping our clients be successful so we can be successful.
Okay. So if we were to, if we were going to reframe sales into being the trusted advisor, so you're the trusted advisor.
Yes.
You have a potential solution, a way of helping these people get what they want. How would that affect any of your thinking when it came to reaching out to somebody in whatever form that doesn't know you in any way, shape, or form, but you felt there could be a possibility that you could help them? How would that change things for anybody? Anybody? Michael?
Rashid, if I may just add a point to what you were asking earlier. I mean, I may have a slightly different view from, the conversations we've been having, in the sense that my background is primarily in tech products and tech services. Whatever I say may be colored by that background.
That's fine, go.
I find that there are three things that need to come together to make a sale in a company really meaningful. I think the seller, the type of product or service that you're selling, and the buyer. I mean, at least from our experience and our data, it shows that not all sellers can sell everything to all buyers. We often confuse hustle type selling, which is, I've got 20 people to call today, I'll call 20 people, as the predominant way of selling. But it's also dependent on what you're selling. That makes sense. If you're a company that's selling, let's say, transformation, you probably will not call 20 people a day. You probably need to find a type of buyer who's interested in it, who's got the same temperament as what you're trying to sell. So getting these three things together, is in some sense challenging and interesting for me. So that's one part of the operational part of selling that I enjoy. The second part, which is really the motivation behind it, is really, I think everybody's talked about it, the problem solving part. Solving a problem together with somebody really motivates me. And I think the trick is to find people who want that sort of experience when it comes to selling.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
I mean, that's predominantly what sort of worked for me and for us in the time that we've been doing this for a while.
Okay, great. Ali, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I think I am probably the least experienced person in this team about sales, but I have done a little bit. And the idea of trusted advisor resonates most with me. We had it as one of my team's pillars for the blueprint that we had in KPMG. And that was the approach that we were taking in order to be able to sell AI solutions. So before trying to sell, becoming that trusted advisor made it a lot easier for us to sell, given there is complexity. It's very difficult for people to really accept, yeah, this thing that is not tangible, this is something completely new, not proven elsewhere previously. It's something that they can rely on and they can commit to buy. So I like that.
Okay, excellent. Speaking of AI, anybody, just a slight diversion, anyone use ChatGPT lately? It's fascinating. So any of you who work with us know that we record all our meetings, okay? And normally what happens is that we will listen to them and we'll extract salient points. And I thought yesterday, what would happen if I run this through ChatGPT? And so we did. And I basically just said to ChatGPT, can you please summarize and highlight? Now, I couldn't put 40 pages in. I had to do it in sections because it just wouldn't accept 40 pages. But it was absolutely amazing how it synthesized in 3 pages, 40 pages of conversation. And then I went, okay, what would happen if I took the synthesis and I put it back through and it came up with just a couple of paragraphs with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 things you need to do. That would have taken hours of reading, reviewing, sorting, whatever. It took, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes by the time I just cut and paste, and then Barbara did it. It's just amazing. And you just watch this thing spit this thing out in proper sentences. So it's worth having a go and just playing with it, just to see what it does. Anyway, Maz, I was going to ask you, what drives you, mate? You're still on mute.
I'm off the 400, George.
Okay. Maz, can you hear us?
Oh, mute. Damn, okay,
Yeah,
here we go.
There you go.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, so what drives me in sales? It's more, I think for me, it's always been relationship sales. Like if I'm not building a relationship with a client, I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of the project, out of the delivery. And that relationship could be, sometimes on a personal level, it could be a lot about work and all that type of stuff. But I feel like I need to have a good connection with my clients for me to really appreciate that when I'm getting involved. And I try to push that with our staff as well. Like it's, for me, it's all about relationships. There's no use. And I'm new to sales. So I haven't been a salesperson. I'm more of an engineer that got into business and then started selling through that. And it's always been, build good rapport with someone, deliver the solution, help them out. And if I'm not helping out, my sales approach is very, I don't get that much back out of it. Sometimes, yes, you make money out of it, but I don't get the same type of enjoyment as I would if I built a relationship and I really sold something and gave them that satisfaction that, we were the better supplier for that solution. And there's a downside to that because then you're not, selling as much, you're spending a lot of time with people. But then again, from an enjoyment perspective, and, that's what, for me, business should be about right now. That's where I'd like to see it. But then, and as during COVID, those relationships, kind of like, you're not meeting enough with people and all that type of stuff. And that kind of like, that does affect business in a sense, because it's not strict cold calling or this is what we got to do, this is the pitch and all that type of stuff. So I never go in with a pitch. But and it's worked for me for a while. But it's hard to send that over and share that with across a team of sales, because everyone has their own personalities and what they get out of a sale and how they work with people.
Okay, so the thing with scaling, and I think Carl would be the best person to talk about scaling with sales teams, is that you've got to have a process and you've got to have a system. Carl, you agree?
Absolutely. Like everything, with sales, you need your people to be efficient. and the processes behind the things, behind the business. And there's two words that come into play, which is safety and trust. And when you have safety in your workplace, and safety means that they are safe, so when they do put themselves at risk, i.e. the salespeople put themselves at risk to go and see customers, they can then trust that the rest of the business, what I call the white coats, the knowledge people, the technical people, the administration people, the invoicing people, that then builds the word that we call confidence, right? And it's like when you build a product, you've got a huge amount of confidence because it's your baby. But then as soon as you go out and you try and talk to a customer about it, they don't fully understand and you haven't got that engagement to start off with. What I say to you is, and it's pure math. And it goes back to, well, if you talk to 10 people, you actually will find one person to start off with that will love your product. But you've got to go through the pain of those 10 people. Right? And the more you do that, you get used to it, and it goes back to this, it's purely math, it's knowledge. But then you got to look at, well, why would you do that? Which is what you're asking the question. And that then comes down to the individual's motivation, right? And so in the old days of life insurance salespeople and all that sort of stuff, I would have said that if I was looking for a salesperson, I'd go and find a married man with a wife and 2 kids and a mortgage, right? And that was the old formula. In the 90s, I found out that there was somebody out there more motivated than a dad with 2 kids and a wife at home because the wife didn't work. I found it was a divorced mother with 2 kids who wanted to take her kids to school and pick her kids up from school. That person was much more motivated than a male married with a wife yelling at home, we're going on holidays next year. Right? And so therefore my top salespeople for quite a while were some women in my business. And it was unusual for them to be in sales and tech back in those days. It was mostly a man-orientated type business. You come forward to today, and the motivation with younger people in particular, where they all want to be a manager tomorrow and not do the hard yards, the motivation to sit down with them and help them understand that things need to be earned and worked and a process. And you build your process about, you know, what sales you need to do, what markets you need to be. Now, so this sort, what we call it, soar like an eagle. So I have with the senior execs of the company, we take them off site, and I label it soar like an eagle. And the reason we call it soar like an eagle is that they come to this meeting with no emotion, so that we can actually analyze mistakes, issues, programs without emotion, much like an eagle with prey. And we then make a whole bunch of decisions in that time period. And then with the trick of everything of success is how you then translate that back to your salespeople, that they can trust you to go out and put themselves at risk. Right? And you know, the failure rate with salespeople, unfortunately, is reasonably high, because a lot of people want to get into sales because they like that freedom thing. They like that ability that I control the hours I work and what they think is the fun side of selling. I've been one of those salespeople in my middle time of learning where I found out it was much more comfortable to sit in the car and listen to the radio than go and make a cold call. You know, it's called call remorse. And I would say, Kyle, don't sit in the car and listen to the radio. Go do your next cold call. And then I started to work out, well, how can I actually make the call? So the easy call, which you've all half talked about, I decided the first call of the day I need to do every day is an existing customer, because they typically tell you a good story. And when you walk in there and you meet Billy, you say, "G'day, Billy," and they go, "Oh, we love you guys. A couple of things you need to fix up. And by the way, I need to," and that's a great feeling when you walk in that environment. You walk out there, you've got your car parked. Back in the days where you used cars or not. I then walk into the place right next door. It's called sandwich calling. And I go in there and say, "G'day, I just met Billy." "Oh, yeah, I know Billy. Billy uses me to do A, B, C, D, E, and F, and G." "Oh, does he really? What does he do that for?" Conversation starts. All right. And so I learned how to park my car and not listen to the radio and do the extra calls. So, and I put this all back around to, and I'll take it back to, that it's control. Even though you can't control salespeople, but for you to control your business, and like I said, you put your signposts up, you can, you know, stand out the road and yell out, "I'm got the best ABC product." But if you don't actually, you know, like the Egyptian traders, if you don't get out and knock on the doors to belt them down and have people in your there and try and find and invest in those salespeople. You might have to hock your garage and your car to get the salespeople out there. All of a sudden, you're going to elevate your business. All right. I now have 25 salespeople, and we were, highly profitable MSP, but we focus on the trust factor, the safety factor, to make sure the salespeople can mitigate some of that risk they feel when they go and put themselves out there. So there's a whole range of things we do together as a group to make sure that if I didn't have the salespeople and relied on referrals, relied on my web pages, relied on my contacts and all that sort of stuff, I couldn't predict what the growth of the company would be. But when I employ salespeople and apply the math, and there's a whole regime of math, you get to be able to control and budget 1 to 2 years in advance, knowing what your business is going to do. And that happens in every industry, no matter what. All right. Some industries, when you talk about food and that, and McDonald's, the more they advertise, they can actually correlate. The more they advertise, the more they get in, they change their products and refresh the products and all that sort of stuff. So there's a whole science to that. So I'm not disagreeing with that science. This is about small business people working out with all your, what I call your baby that you're so good at, and putting that at risk. It actually becomes really, really easy after you do it for a little bit. And the little bit is not a day. It happens to be 6 months or 12 months it takes to learn. And then when you start to get control of your business, you then go, okay, I've worked out my science, I've worked it all out. You then employ your second salesperson. That's a big leap when you bring your second salesperson in, because then you've got to have a process. It's no longer in your head. You've got to teach somebody. That's what I share with you today.
Great. Thanks, Carl. Juliet, you've got your hand up.
Well, with me is simply mindset, right? Sales is sales, and the problem, that's the problem. It's predictable. We already know that there will always be a problem of rejections. But to me, solution is also predictable. So my mindset is always on keeping an eye on the dollars, because really reality is this world is a mess, So the frustration, the hardship, and things like that is asset deficiencies. So my concentration on lesser frustration will be, hey, this guy needs these dollars. How are I going to improve this? I guess it's as simple as that, but I'm here to learn more. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm often reminded of, sales ultimately, is a numbers game. Some will, some won't, so what? And I remember, 40 years ago when I first joined Amway, there's this whole thing about, and I think from memory, it was 2012-83. Okay, so you met 20 prospects, out of which 12 would do absolutely nothing, or 20 people would join, 12 people would do absolutely nothing. 8 people would buy some products, and 3 people would build your business. But you knew the numbers. So they'd been working at this for 50 years by that stage. They knew what these numbers were. So what are the numbers in your business? And another way of looking at this, none of us, besides Carl, need massive numbers of clients. We don't have to feed a massive beast. So how many clients do you really need on an ongoing basis to be profitable? And when I say client, I don't mean a transaction client that just buys something once and never comes back. I'm talking about how do you get people to stay with you for a year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever it is, continually reservicing them, continually adding to the stuff that you can do for them. So let's start with the first question. How many clients do you really need? If you had your ideal client, how many of them would you need? Samantha, I'm going to pick on you.
Thanks, Rashid. I was waiting for you to do that. The interesting thing about what I do is I don't actually solve problems. I solve people, because it's all about behavior. So if I had the one ideal client, Well, unfortunately, people don't come to me when they're happy, they come when they're not. So I actually don't want an ideal client that has got multiple problems that can never be solved. So for me, the ideal is to have one client following behind another, because then I'm doing what I do really, really well. I'm helping each of them to solve themselves. Here in the online room today, you've got a whole load of great people who know what they're about and they know what they're doing. My clients don't. So when I'm working with corporates, I'm working with the individuals in their teams who are not about what they need to be about. And when I'm working just with people who are running their own business, those who are at the top, they're not getting the results that they're wanting. So for me, it's about having each of my clients get what they come for. It's about solving the person, not solving the problem, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. No, fair enough.
But surely if you are working with a large corporate, you try and work with them long term and just work with a different people within that corporation long term. So, you know, if you had a few of them, wouldn't that be?
That would be amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing. But not what we don't want either is corporates that are full of people who are not actually sorting themselves out. So ideally for me, what I'm doing when I'm going into an organization is actually helping them to help themselves. So if they've got a team of people, lots and lots of people who are not where they need to be in their roles, then ideally for me, it's not about me solving each of them. It's about showing the people in that company how they can work with their own team members. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Yeah, but that doesn't preclude, as Lauren says, that doesn't preclude having an organization, a couple of large organizations that you work with, because there's always turnover with those organizations. People come and people go.
Correct.
And there are always going to be issues.
Yeah.
But essentially, if you have a reputation, then you keep getting asked to work with the next person or
That's
the next
exactly
division.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Michael, you'd face the same thing, wouldn't you?
With respect to clients, fixing
Yeah,
clients.
you have a number of large clients, and there are a number of divisions, and you can start with one place and then you go to the next and the next and the next.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, that's the scenario. Yeah, but obviously very different services. But
sure, but it's the principle that we're talking
especially with some of the larger mining companies that we've worked with. We've done a snippet of work here or there, and that's led to other work and then other work. So that is happening for us. And it's not with very little self-promotion. We were just focusing on doing a good job, and that has led to internal referrals. And a little bit opposite to what Kyle was saying, earlier on. Depending on referrals, we tend to, we're not overly aggressive with our sales, and a lot of our work just comes from referrals and our network of people. But like what's been said, is that a sustainable long-term model? Probably not.
Yeah, so that's
sorry, can I just jump in? Coming back to the original question that you asked, Rashid, what is the number of clients you need to make your business profitable? A size where you can control it, whatever. Because what we have found, the reason for the question is that what we have found, and we fall into the same trap at times, that we think we need more clients than we actually do if we actually go through the numbers. And if we could bring it back to that, because I think that could provide some really interesting insights, in the sense that you may not have to do as many cold calls as you think if you look through that lens of the numbers.
So Barbara, I'll chip in there. So I have 25 salespeople. Their KPI is not dollars, and you've heard me talk about how I pay salespeople. Their KPI is 2 net new customers per salesperson per month. So I have a requirement that I want 100 new clients, net new. So if we lose one from our customer, we got about 1,800 customers on our books today, right? And now we don't achieve the 100. right, that we're after, right, or the 50, sorry, 25 times 2. We don't achieve that 50 every single time, every month. But what it is that that's the scale of the company, and therefore our company has grown because of how we then run all our different products across our customers. For us as an MSP, you know, we in 8 years have gone from $2 million to $50 million turnover in 8 years, right? And extremely profitable because we're aggressive. And there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying you need to be aggressive, but it was just our attitude, right? That we wanted to be aggressive.
These numbers would come out of some drivers that you want to, some goals you want to achieve, such as we need to make sure we will lose clients, they have to be replaced. That would be one of the drivers, so that you at least have that stability of the number of clients. And on top of that, you want to achieve a growth of X. So that would fall into that, would be part of the decision making. These numbers are created and worked out because you want to achieve a certain goal. You're not going to say I want you to have bring in 100 clients each every year. You're not doing that. So that's the numbers game you're playing to achieve the turnover you want, the profitability you want, all behind how many clients do we need, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Les, and then Juliet, you've got your hand raised. I'll come back to you, Juliet, in a second. Les, go.
I think to Rashid's question is pertinent to where I'm at this stage of my business. So to give you some context, we've been in startup mode for a while, but we've now just tipped over to profitability, which is super exciting. We are entertaining the thought of getting external investment to then grow globally and all these different things. My advisors have more or less pushed on me of, what do you, Les, want for your business? Do you want to exit and get your whatever? If you do and get your multi-billion-dollar whatever, maybe you need to go down VC pathway. Do you want to just have a comfortable lifestyle business where you don't get any more customers and you just enjoy your lifestyle? Do you want to grow aggressively but without the external capital? And I think why Rashid's question is so pertinent is it really does depend on the individual of what you want. Now, if it's your business, you get to make that choice. If it's not your business, you probably have targets set on your head and it's grow, grow, grow at all costs. So I think for me, having to answer that question first, then we'll determine the number of customers that we need, or, you know, I guess in answer to Rashid's question, my number at this stage of our lifestyle or our business is we probably only need, well, we don't actually need any more customers in a nice way, which is a great problem to have. But I want to at least double that number this financial year alone, or this calendar year, I should say, if we're thinking of months, at a minimum. But I'm working through that now, so that may change, I guess. So I don't know if that helps anyone.
Yeah, and that comes back to the original assertion. You know, why are you in business? Are you in business? You know, in the classic entrepreneurial sense, you get into business that you know nothing about, and you run the business, and you grow the business, and then you sell the business. That's your classic on the spectrum entrepreneur. The classic on the other side of the spectrum is the people like us who are consultants. We get in because we like consulting, and then we learn how to run business, or we run a practice, depending on how you want to put that. And in the middle somewhere is you want to grow the business, you want to have a good lifestyle, you want to make enough money out of the business that you can invest externally to make money, because that's the name of the game ultimately. And then even with people who are consultants like us, can we codify what we do so that somebody else can come along and deliver, because that gives us leverage? And can we sell that system down the track, because that gives us an exit strategy? Because if you look at an analogy like a surgeon, when the surgeon stops operating, the surgeon stops making money. They can't sell the business. They can sell, you know, there's nothing to sell. So then it comes back to you, Les, where you say, okay, if you want to, if you're really creating a lot of IP that somebody's going to buy, which is what a venture capitalist is really doing, then that's a completely different kettle of fish. And you've got to understand why you're doing this, but it could change. You may start off in one area, and then you might realize that, hey, hang on, there's something else over here that I want to pursue for whatever reason, if that makes sense. Juliet.
Oh, hi again. Well, I'm both relating to Barbara as to the quality of people, also relating to Kylie. It's a clear solution. It's numbers games. Yes, definitely. We've got to have an eye on that dollars. But I guess personally myself, it's once the customer is satisfied, you know, you don't really need that numbers. So I'm more leaning to Barbara's, you know, the quality of people that we saw bring forth, you know, because they will then continuously refer people, quality people. You see, I'm not on your, or majority of you are into ITs and things like that. I'm into property developments. When I said quality, you know, the quality of property that it's sort of involved in, but ultimately is the tenants. You know, I've got a 7-Eleven, it's an international tenant, and that's quality. I don't want, you know, I even had one time a tenant that was a church. Oh boy, wasn't he a problem? He was paying rentals, but he was continuously asking for donations. So again, the numbers and quality, you know, is this really a clear solution? You know, both Kyle's, you know, numbers is clear solution to him. But personally myself, I would more on numbers against quality. I'll have both, of course, but the customer satisfaction will be mine answer to that. Really, it's not the numbers, but fewer numbers who are really satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Juliet. So I'm often reminded guy Mal Emery, who used to run a very successful I don't know what you call marketing mastermind group. You know, he had about 100 people, and we used to meet 4 times a year, and across Australia. And his mantra was he would ask 3 questions. He says to a potential client, he said, you know, do I feel I can help you? If the answer was yes, will you do what I tell you to do? Because he was pretty full on. He's a multimillionaire. He knew his stuff. And do I like you? So those 3 questions. And he said it was always fascinating because people would always come back and they'd say, oh, do you like me? You know, will you take me on as a client? And I think that's an interesting place to be positionally, where people come to you and they say they really want to work with you, and they understand that they're going to have to do some work, and they're going to have to take some advice, and they're going to have to put in the hard yards, and that you want to tell it how it is. And that is a really great position to be in. And that comes back to, you know, your own positioning and your own marketplace. Frank, you haven't said much today. I'm going to pick on you now.
I was just waiting for my turn. That's all.
Oh, you can interrupt anytime.
No, it's nice to listen. Look, for us, our business really, we primarily measure our business through gross profit, plain and simple. And that's how our salespeople are remunerated as well. They're not remunerated on the sale, they're remunerated on the profitability of the sale. So in terms of determining numbers of customers, it's something I haven't really sat down and looked at, but it would be a difficult math to do, I think, because the range of sales could be anywhere from several hundreds of thousands to, you know, a couple of $1 million. So it depends on, and some of the business we have is recurring in the sense that we sell software subscriptions for the tools that we sell to our customers. You know, and what we aim to do is obviously retain those customers. So that's once the sale is then completed, we look at retaining that customer, ensuring that they do renew year on year. Sometimes they don't. I mean, I had a customer who spent quite a substantial amount of money 3 years ago. Their contract's about to run up in June. That product has not been used. And now there's a lot of factors internally. Why? Nothing to do with us, nothing to do with the product, but they're not going to renew. So that's a big chunk of business that obviously we need to try and replace there. When it comes to selling, we look at, we're a technical organization, but we've moved away from selling features and benefits. We look at trying to sell to solve a problem. So when we approach our customers, that's what we do. We don't approach them to say, hey, I've got this great widget and it does this, this. We don't go that way anymore because people are not interested. They just really want to know, how can you solve my problem? How can you improve my business? So that's our approach that we've taken. And in terms of the cold calling rejection, what we've gone and done is we've actually put on a person, sales development representative is the terminology used today in the industry. That person will go out and cold call clients, customers, prospects, and set up a meeting for the experienced salesperson. So this particular individual is not technical. Their objective is to make the call and get a meeting. And it's interesting to see his particular persona and style and his approach. He doesn't seem to be fazed by rejection at all. He becomes more, I guess, upset when he's not able to actually reach that person. I think that's the biggest challenge that we're finding today is you make the calls and people don't pick up as often as they used to. And but once he gets onto the call, he's happy. He's happy to carry the conversation. He's happy to try and get that meeting, and that's what he strives to do. So that's just a few thoughts from my end.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because he's coming back to what can't remember who was saying, the introvert making the calls rather than, or not the introvert, somebody who is not. Yeah, it was Alex, wasn't it? The person who wasn't the leader in school, the glory person, who was used to some form of, well, we just get on with it. The pessimist. Yes, thank you. Thanks, Lauren. Interesting. Alexi, welcome. You haven't had a chance to say anything, so how are things going with
Rashid. Thank you. Yeah, so a lot of stuff has been said already. So basically what I'm facing and what I would say, but I would add probably the following. So basically in the sales, what I do enjoy and sometimes I'm facing, or pretty much all the time I'm facing, it's more stage for a time being. So for example, this year, one sort of sales targets or how many clients I should have. Another year is another type of clients, and another sort of like, let's say COVID changed a little bit targets. And I have to be more flexible and adjustable to environment where I'm in. For those who don't know, I'm doing software and I'm doing custom built software or integrating existing software, or same like Kyle, but a little bit maybe different. But and I'm operating with many different tools, and this is another challenge with me. How can I group tools? How can I stay focused, not to go from one industry to another industry? So as I said, like depending on the stage where I am, it's a different target, different sales cycle. But I would say flexibility.
Sorry, Alexi, I think you're breaking up. Is it?
Key in my case. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so flexibility, I would say this is a major point here. So what I wanted to add, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another question for all of you. If you look at where you are in your business journey, and let's just say somewhere between the in and the on, moving to the beyond, where would you say you are? Are you working more in the business, spending enough time on the business? Anybody beyond the business?
Maybe because I stopped, so I'll continue to answer your question. So I mean, I always was thinking where I am, like, let's say, working on a business and observe from outside, or be inside the business and doing sort of like a sales, or maybe coaching, or like basically to do some sort of work in the business. So I enjoy, I cannot maybe I'm myself, I cannot put myself 100% out of the business because I still like what I'm doing. And so even I'm doing and delegating a lot, but still I'm doing by myself some stuff. And this where the stage where I am right now, I would say like probably in a balance in between these two sort of criteria, out and in. To say like if I would delegate completely to manage to some person, like to manage my business and step out and enjoy and lifestyle and let's say relaxing or going somewhere, I don't like this. I mean, it's more, I still doesn't matter if it's that stage of business, I will sell the business, it will happen, but it's still another challenge or an opportunity will arise anyway. So that's basically, I don't see myself just traveling and doing nothing. And this is why my probably balancing between two sides is, I mean, what I'm doing, and potentially I will always do this.
Yeah, and I think that probably goes for most of us in some form. We enjoy what we do, but we want to have the choice to be able to do something else if necessary. Would that be fair? Anyone else? Where do you see yourself, and where do you see the journey?
Yeah, I'll say something. So funnily enough, I've transitioned backwards in this a bit. So for several years, I divided the management responsibility within my business between myself and my GM, where he would work in the business and I would work on the business. And then what I've realized in that time is that, probably a little bit like Kyle, who still gets out of sales, I can't get my account managers to get out there and sell. So I set myself some KPIs with my GM this year to go and have more new business meetings and go to more conferences and events like today to meet more people. And my challenge is around the reason I guess I've been dragged back into the business is because I found that what we do is quite complicated. So in order to gain trust in what we do, you generally need to know what you're talking about. And therefore my salespeople have been quite spoilt over the years, because I've always thought, well, there's no point in getting to start doing a lot of outbound calls if you can't really talk about what you're doing because you don't know what problem you're trying to solve. And it's really hard to explain it unless someone does some transactions. And we always have inbound business. So you give some of the inbound business to the salespeople and ask them to look after it and work on it. And after a while, they get used to it and the leads keep coming. And then you'd ask them to do some outbound and they'd always procrastinate on it. And the reason is there's always inbound. But the inbound isn't always worth as much. It's not the people we always want to work with. It's the people that want to work with us. And there's a big difference between the two. So I've ended up in a situation where I've decided to do more new business, which pushes me to carry on working in the business to some extent, which I don't mind because I quite like working in the business. It does make it made me think though, Rashid, when you were talking about beyond the business, you know, if I got hit by a car or whatever happened, it would be challenging for the business to grow. I think my GM can sustain it and his team will carry on getting referrals, the brand's strong, but it wouldn't necessarily inorganically grow with outbound because none of them are either as skilled or as interested in reaching out and driving pure new business from new clients where we don't currently have a conversation going.
Yeah, that's something I hear quite a lot. Yeah, people say, look, you know, we run the business, we own the business, we're the ones who are motivated, but none of the people working with us have the same level of motivation, which I think is an interesting conundrum in some respects. So we might leave that till next time. That might be an interesting topic to discuss. How do we get people to actually step up, and how do we hire people better than us in different areas? Because that is the key.
And it's difficult to separate in a deep solutions business. It's difficult to, I guess, have somebody that does pure new business. So I can't really have an internal salesperson that does appointment setting for me, because if somebody starts having that conversation, they try to refer it across, it would be a silken conversation. There's a lot of trust. It's hard really to cold call in what we do, because one of the first things we say is, can you give us all of your customer data and tell us everything about all your biggest marketing challenges versus your competitors? So you need to build that level of trust initially, and it's very hard for someone else to just go and do that if they're an appointment center.
Yeah, but then we can talk about that maybe next time. But there is a difference between appointment setting and sales process, and let's not conflate the two. Juliet, let's just finish up with you. You have your hand raised again.
Yeah, okay, sure. I just wanted, the question is where we're at, right? So personally myself, identifying our business or ourselves, are we going for the lifestyle end result or the performance go for every figures, the 7, 8, 9 figures? So I guess ascertaining where we are will be more an answer for me where I'm at. I'm already still on a journey, but the lifestyle is where I'm heading.
Yeah, and I think that there is a continuum. Okay, there's
yes,
the
there is
lifestyle
preference all the time, but
yeah,
at the end of the night, there is, okay, how far do you want to go?
exactly.
I'm legacy. Legacy is going beyond life. What is it that you want to sort of ascertain and leave behind? Right. But nevertheless, that's where I'm at. But I'm perturbed. I just sort of intrude and change topic. A question to Frank. Frank, why did you actually say earlier that you've hired someone who is not techno as far as your business to do the rejections? What was the purpose behind that? If he's not knowledgeable, how couldn't he answer?
Well, it's interesting. We actually did a few exercises prior to this with third-party organizations, and what we found is that when you don't have a technical person and their objective is purely to set a meeting, it works better. It just works better. We were able to get far better because their purpose is set a meeting. They're not there to talk about the solution or the product. I mean, we've given that person a high level understanding of what we do. Obviously, they need that, but they're not going to go and drill down into the technicalities of how it works or what benefits it brings. That's the role of the salesperson. That's when the salesperson steps in and takes over on the sales process. And we just found it works. And look, the person's been on board for a week. They've already got 2 meetings out of it. So a reasonably good start. And we hope it's going to generate more meetings for us.
Yeah, and it is a proven model. Okay, the appointment setter does not need to be technical. In fact, it's a mistake to have them be technical because then they get dragged into stuff that they shouldn't be dragged into.
Exactly.
Okay. We've only got another 10 minutes, so let's just wrap this up. The next business roundtable is going to be on what is it? Is this scrolled past? Barbara, when's the next one?
16th of March, same time, same place, same link.
Yeah. So Thursday, 16th of March, 8:30 to 10 a.m. All right. So I'm just going to go around and ask everybody what they got out of today. And as always, say, look, we would love introductions to other businesses that you feel could be part of this group. And also to mention, obviously, that we work with people like you and larger businesses to help them get from that into on to beyond phase of their businesses. So if you feel it's worth having a conversation with me just to get some ideas on how to do this, or maybe you want our direct help, please just feel free to reach out. So let me finish off by asking Kyle, what did you get out of today? And thank you for coming.
I actually want to share something, so rather than talk about what I got out of it, to do with answering your question in regards to on the business, in the business, etc. Part of my goal of running the business and the reward system that I wanted to give myself, which is not money, by the way, was to say to my wife, as each year goes past, we'll go from 6 weeks holiday a year to 8. And currently I'm now at 16 weeks holiday a year overseas. And as your business is successful, the reward program, and then of course what that forces you to do as you start to spend a bit of time, well, this time it's 8 weeks around the Mediterranean and then up into Iceland. So that's the exciting part that renews me. But also the other benefit is that the business gets to have time without me, and they need time without me. And when they have time without me, you get to see how the business performs, and you get to work out who trusts, who you can trust, who steps up, who doesn't, and you use those opportunities to realign your training, and arrange a whole lot of other things, because next year I want 20 weeks off. All right, so that's the reward system where we have in place between myself and a couple of the other owners, that we step up. They're not all my level of holidays. But that's my reward system, and that motivates me to make sure that all the things that we're talking about today and the other things we talk about, the white coats, accounts people, it drives success. What I've learnt again is just listening to this, it reconfirms to me that the track that we're on, and how we do things, and listening to the various aspects of how people tackle their issues, my people are doing a great job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what I've
Well,
learned
it
today.
takes, dare I say it, Carl, it takes a great leader to get great people. So, kudos to you is what I would say. Nobby. Sorry, mate, can't hear you. I'll come back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, great meeting. Really enjoyed it this morning. So thanks to everyone for the contribution. And probably the one thing that I really liked was from Alex with his old Dun & Bradstreet thing of purpose, benefit, and check. I thought it was a really neat, succinct way to, capture the essence of that initial outreach. So I'm definitely going to apply that. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Samantha.
I really liked what Juliet said about how far do we want to go with this. And I just as we were coming off here, I private messaged you, Rashid, to say one of the clients that I'm working with at the moment came to me because there's so much pressure in their business that it's set up a culture where everybody uses stimulants, read cocaine, in order to cope.
Wow.
Exactly. So I really like what Juliet said. And I also like what Kyle said, because of course, being able to set up a business where you are battling that pressure and making your success work for you is what we're all about. So I think it's been super interesting today to listen to people's motivation about what got them going in their business, what keeps them going, and where they're aiming to go with it, because it can go completely the other way when it goes wrong.
Excellent. Thank you. Liz.
Firstly, thank you, everyone. Been great meeting all of you. Got a lot out of it. We have the terminology internally called NOGs, which is a note of gratitude. So a big nod to Kyle. Hearing that experience, it's got me thinking about inbound versus outbound when it comes to lead gen and controlling our destiny, which is really great. And another nod to Alex, sharing that, I guess, vulnerability about how you come in and out of your business. It's nice to know that there are others out there who go through the same issues that I go through day to day. So they're my things that I've gotten out of today.
Excellent. Thank you. Alex.
Yeah, if I'm honest, Kyle, I'm going to very much borrow from you. I really enjoyed the idea of thinking about how many clients you wanted. Often we think in terms of GP, but then we often notice that a lot of the smaller clients are not really worth their weight as much. So the idea of setting a parameter in terms of what that customer looks like and how many you want is a really good target. And I thought that was fantastic. But then the idea of rewarding yourself with how many weeks overseas holiday you have sounds even better. I've recently switched to working 4 days a week, although Thursday's supposed to be my day off, and here I am, and I have 3 meetings later, so I'm not very good at it. But I thought that the personal reward system completely out of money, and the idea of working outside the business, but all of it is set up based on a parameter of how many ongoing customers you have. I think that's a really, really interesting metric, and I'm nothing like I've seen before. So yeah, great idea.
Well done. Thank you. Ali.
Yeah, thank you. Well, lots of interesting discussions, a lot to learn. I also very enjoyed the discussions around how people get motivated about their sales strategy and how do they handle all of those potential downtimes by the rejections. And yeah, I also liked very much the reward system from Kai. Interesting. Thank you.
Excellent. Lauren.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed the conversations, and I've got a list of things highlighted in my notes over here. Probably a couple of things I picked up. Just reframing as the trusted advisor. I know that we didn't explore that in depth, but you raised that, Rashid, and that resonated with me because the type of sales calls I do and the services that I offer, then that makes me comfortable doing that. So that was a good reframe and a reminder of knowing the numbers that I need. So I have a lot of clients. Do I need more? Do I need to just go back and offer them more? But just going through and actually redo it. I've done that numerous times, but have I done it this year? No. Oops. So yeah, that's something for me to go away and do.
Excellent. Thanks, Lauren. Baz.
Well, I took out, there's a lot of things, obviously, with the making phone calls, the approach and challenges everyone's having around salespeople and account managers. The other thing I took out of it, which was good, so obviously trying to see others and seeing who are having more time off and putting that into their diary on the schedule. So like Kyle and the holidays and working 4 days a week and all that. For me, whenever I even contemplate that, which I have, and I do, I feel guilty about it as well. So it's kind of like having that idea of saying, well, you know what, other business leaders are doing it. I feel like I'm being judged that, I'm taking the easy path out and having people work in the business and I'm just sitting back. So I've got to mentally, hearing more people doing it, I'll probably get a chance to accept it more and say, hey, this is my reward at least.
Indeed. I mean, ultimately, as the business owner, you're taking the risk. You need to get the reward. Frank.
Yeah, look, I always enjoy these sessions because I like hearing how everyone's approaching their businesses and the different approaches to measuring their salespeople, for example, and some of the challenges. I think there's a lot of commonality. Personally, I'm still working very much in the business as opposed to on the business. Try to balance it, but we're still in many ways building our business, so we have to be pretty much hands-on. I love the idea of adding holiday weeks to my year, but I think that might be a little ways off for me just yet. But certainly I've taken down some of the, well, the one thing I did take down, I think, and this was mentioned earlier by, I think, Alex, purpose, benefit and check. I quite like that. So I'm just going to take that away and think about how to integrate that with some of the work that my guys do and hopefully help them.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Frank. Michael.
From my perspective, just great listening to everyone and getting, I find it refreshing, all the different views and challenges everyone's facing and their different approaches. And we all got similar problems, but we got our own personal take on them. So I just, just love listening to everyone's different perspectives and ideas. So thank you for running this, Rashid, and all the feedback that we get from everyone.
Excellent. Thanks, Michael. Glad you're here. Alexi.
Because I've visited many different these roundtables from with you, Rashid, my key takeaway from this, it means every time when I'm here, I'm getting a lot of takeaways from this session. So thank you for doing this. But from today, I would say, Frank, when he was mentioned about just initial phone calls, I came across doing exactly the same. I didn't know like if somebody else was doing, and this takeaway from today. Like, excellent. Because I see somebody else doing the same and it works for me, and that's good to see. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexi. And last but definitely not least, Juliet.
My biggest take away on this session, thank you so much, Rashid, is rejection. It is predictable, ladies and gentlemen, it's predictable. So we have to embrace rejection after rejections in life. But I'm a person who always concentrates on keeping an eye on the dollars. I mean, I'm not sounding commercialized here, but there is asset efficiency on every business. So work on the business as far as how much it is really worth. As what you have said earlier, Hashib, is a structure and strategizing the business. I'm still on my stepping stone, so I'm certainly learning a lot. Now also to Les, oh, he's gone, the Chinese gentleman. I have a note for him too. It's in Espanol. Señores, señoras, buenas noches, and muchas gracias. Until I see you, thank you so very much.
Thanks, Juliet. And sorry, Nobby, I was reminded that I skipped you seeing that you were at work.
I was just going to say, I can't believe how close Kyle and I are in our thinking. We must be twins. But I sold my business in 2006, and the thing that I found was we took a holiday for 2 weeks after 18 years of not having anything, and I came back and my business was still there. And I swore that therefore I would take 2 weeks every 3 months, which we started doing. So the incentive was there for me to push myself. Selling the business in 2006, I got rid of all my staff and overheads and worries, and I don't have to worry about anybody. And my life was totally changed. But from this year onwards, I'm actually going to go back to challenging myself to get more clients. The good thing that I've got for getting new business is built into my software is an incentive for the clients to refer other people to me. So I'm pulling rather than pushing. It's getting people to get their software for nothing as such. And it makes it a lot easier for me. I don't have to go out knocking on doors, making phone calls.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, very much. Barbara, you want to say anything finally, or?
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you very much, everybody, for all your contributions, for taking the time out, because this is valuable time otherwise as well. So, and I hope to see you again in a month's time.
Okay, I'll put a recording up, and I was just having a thought. I might run this through ChatGPT just to see what it comes up with. Could be really interesting. So I'll send that out if it comes up with something. Anyway, great to see you all, and see you in a month.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.